Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's podcast. I'm Stuart Penson. I'll be hosting today's conversation, and I'm joined today by Amanda Martin, who's Head of Communications for the Global Impact Coalition. Amanda, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's a great pleasure to talk to you today. I thought we'd kick off with a fairly general question. If you could um, tell us a little bit more about the coalition and who you work with and what your sort of overall aims are.
Yes, for sure. Thanks, Stuart. Very nice to be here with you today. My name is Amanda Martin. I'm Head of Communications at the Global Impact Coalition. And we are I would say, a unique kind of coalition. We are working with chemical industry leaders and really at the top levels. So we have in our advisory board mostly the CEOs of these chemical companies, and we're working very closely with the C-suite, so the CTOs, CSOs of this group of leading chemical companies. So some of our members include BASF, SABIC, LyondellBasell, Clariant, Covestro, and as well some other companies such as Suez and Siemens Energy, who are in adjacent sectors to the chemical industry. Within our members, we actually are representing around 230 billion in annual sales. So it's a annual revenue, let's say. So it's a really we're a small but very influential, I would say, group of members, and we're really with them working to develop new business models, pilots, and speed up new technologies that can reduce carbon emissions and advance circularity in and across the chemical industry. So our main mission is really laser focused on developing projects that will concretely reduce the carbon emissions so that we can achieve net zero and really advance circularity in the chemical industry.
Okay, great. Well, some very big corporate names there involved. Tell me why focus on the chemical industry to influence change?
Yeah, so the chemical industry, it's one of those that's everywhere, but no one really thinks about it. So actually, when we look around us, chemicals are present in over 95% of the products we use every day. So it's thanks to the chemical industry that we have modern medicine, pharmaceuticals, healthcare supplies. I mean, if you think about basic, hygiene, cleaning products, even things like Band-Aids and pretty like basic things, right? Medicine. Also, food safety and food and agriculture industry are heavily reliant on chemicals. We wouldn't be able to produce the amount of food that we can produce to feed the billions of people on the planet if we didn't have this industry. Also, packaging to transport and keep our food fresh and safe. That's also critical even in like renewable energy, right? So batteries, think about all the connections on batteries, and also in vehicles and windmills, solar panels. They all have key components that are produced in the chemical industry. So everything from plastic or polymer types of parts all the way to ingredients in a lot of these different products. So it's actually a pretty fundamental industry that's really touches so many of the products and goods that we use every day and we rely on in our modern society. However, all of that means actually that it's a big industry and it has also a very big carbon footprint. So actually the chemical industry releases around 2 billion tons of greenhouse gas emissions every year, which is around 5% of global emissions. So it's actually double the amount of emissions from global aviation. So it's got a big footprint, and that's where also, because we do have rising demand for all these materials and products, we really need to start thinking about how we can stop the growth of emissions and actually drive down emissions. And how can we also reuse the products and materials that are in use today so that we can drive circularity and reduce the reliance on having to basically take out more fossil fuels for new chemicals.
Hmm. Okay, and just thinking about the energy transition, what role can the chemical industry play in that, or what role should it play in that?
Yeah. So the chemical industry is also very much related to the energy industry in a couple ways. One is it's heavily reliant on a huge amount of energy to make these chemicals. So basically, the typical system today, most chemicals are derived from fossil fuels today. So it can either be oil or gas that are used as what we call feedstock in chemical products. And then in the chemical industry, you have something called a cracker, which basically uses an incredible amount of energy to heat up and crack the carbons down to their basic kind of building blocks that then can be reformed into new types of chemical products. So, and this process it's highly energy intensive, and most of the system has been built to use either oil or gas. Mostly they've moved away from coal, but there's still some that are operated on coal plants as well. So basically, the energy transition is key also in the industry, but it's also, I think, looking at what are, we have to look at new types of technologies that don't rely specifically on oil or gas for this incredible amount of heat, and that could use different types of renewable energy for that process. Also, the energy transition, as I mentioned before, we're talking about a lot of different types of renewable energy, and even something so simple as the pipes and transmission lines and all of this are also reliant on the chemical industry for parts and pieces. So it's kind of this symbiotic relationship where the chemical industry needs the energy, the energy industry relies on a lot of energy, and vice versa, the energy transition will also rely on the chemical industry. We're currently facing, though, around an 80% gap to target to reach the 2030 net zero climate targets in the chemical industry. So there's a big, let's say, uphill journey to go to be able to reduce the emissions within the chemical sector, and to reduce the reliance also on fossil fuels.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that trajectory of cutting emissions. I mean, what's needed to drive progress more quickly towards net zero and circular goals as well?
Well, basically, our belief also in why the Global Impact Coalition was formed was really to bring companies together, because the challenges that we have, the transition that needs to take place is so big, similar to that in the energy sector, that we will not achieve it if each company continues to work on their own. So basically what we need is collaboration. So we need to bring together different companies to both think about kind of putting our collective heads together and finding solutions that maybe aren't evident, to putting more work into innovation and finding out new business models. But also we need to collaborate more to reduce the risks, to make sure that there are secured offtake agreements, that we have secured investment, so that we can finance also and really support this transition. So that's why I think this collaboration is so critical, and that's what the Global Impact Coalition is really trying to do. I forgot to mention also that the Global Impact Coalition was originally developed, it was actually a platform at the World Economic Forum. And there it was called the Low Carbon Emitting Technologies Platform. And there it was really where industry leaders started to get together to discuss on different ways to collaborate to make this transition in a faster and more effective way. And it was decided that there's so much work to do that we needed to actually spin it out and to have more focus, and as well because there's a lot of commercial opportunities, frankly, too, for businesses to think about the new ways of working and new business models in the future. So that's why about a year ago, it was actually spun out of the World Economic Forum, and we've created our own independent entity, which is what we see now as the Global Impact Coalition.
Hmm. Okay, interesting. So I know that the members of the coalition are collaborating on a number of projects. I wondered, could you give us an idea of the type of projects that are sort of underway now?
Yeah, yes, for sure. So we have several different projects, and maybe backing up one step, just to explain how we work. We're really kind of an incubating platform. So basically, we guide our member companies on the ideation to think about what are the topics and the issues that we want to solve. Where are the roadblocks to making progress on achieving our the net zero and circularity targets. And then once we have ideas, those ideas go through this rigorous process of ensuring that they're meeting the criteria that are both sustainability criteria and business criteria. And when we find that there's a project that has some potential both to make a sustainable impact and to have a business opportunity for the companies interested, then that becomes a working group, and we form a project out of that. So right now we have 5 projects underway, and in these projects, there's a couple that are focused on plastics and circularity and increasing basically different types of chemical recycling and exploring how can we scale up the investments and the recycling technologies. One is looking at increasing and better recycling of automotive plastics. So at the end of life of vehicles, there's a lot of plastics in vehicles that frankly today mostly get either incinerated or sent to landfill. And what we're trying to do is look at ways to drastically increase the recycling of those plastics that are in end-of-life vehicles. That's one project. Another one is looking at pyrolysis and how can we really scale up and improve the standards of this chemical recycling methodology so that we can increase the recycling rates of plastics at the end of their life. And then we have a couple projects that are looking at new routes to sustainable olefins. So olefins are one of the key chemicals that are basically in many of the plastics and other materials you see today. And today these processes release a lot of emissions to arrive at the end result. So what we're looking at is different ways to go from directly converting these what we call C2 plus monomers, or other types of new technologies that we can increase going directly from methanol to olefins, for example. So these are some of the projects that we're working on. We're also looking at new routes to methanol, such as from carbon capture, or CCU. Mm-hmm. So a lot of companies talk about carbon capture and storage. In the chemical industry, we try to focus more on carbon capture and utilization, or CCU, because we want to take that carbon that's captured and put it back into the system so that we can really create circularity there.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Amanda, for giving us that overview of the Global Impact Coalition. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks very much.